Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We're here with author and blogger Jay Walker Smith, who is the executive chairman of the Futures Company. And Fortune magazine, among other periodicals, has described him as one of America's leading analysts on consumer trends, knows a lot about baby boomers. And Jay Walker, welcome this morning.
Thank you.
Boomer.
Yeah, I'm very glad to be here. Thank you very much.
So I got a number of questions. I know we don't
Sure.
have too much time
Yeah.
this morning. Have you been with Yankelovich when it was Skelly and White, or just Yankelovich?
So I'm not quite as old as Yankelovich, Skelly and White, but I joined during the Yankelovich Clancy Shulman days, a little bit of our alphabet soup. And we merged a few years ago, and we're now known as the Futures Company.
Fantastic. So first question, or actually the second question.
Yeah.
In terms of what boomers like to be called, do they like to be called boomers? Do they like to be called midlifers? What have you found?
Well, the boomers, like to be called nice things, and they're not always called nice things. They certainly identify with the concept of being part of the baby boomer generation. This whole idea of being part of a generational cohort is something that is very strongly felt by baby boomers relative to other generational cohorts. But midlifers is certainly a characterization of baby boomers that they like and feel comfortable with. They do not want to be referred to as old people or any of the euphemisms for old people. So midlifers, which kind of recognizes this middle stage of life, this extended middle age, if you will, middle ageless, sometimes we refer to it, is the kind of idea that boomers have of themselves.
What companies, you suppose, are doing a good job appealing to boomers?
Well, yeah. Sure. So it's a wide range of different kinds of companies, and without sort of cherry picking one or two in particular, but automobile companies as a whole are doing a very good job of figuring out ways to design products that fit baby boomers. They maintain a sense of excitement and adventure and power and styling that's important to boomers, while accommodating a lot of the needs that boomers have as they're getting older. You also see healthcare companies, by necessity really, adapting a lot of their offerings, particularly home health service companies. And then you see consumer products companies, the kinds of things that are sold in grocery stores, very focused on identifying the kinds of packaging, the kinds of ingredients, the kinds of portion sizes, the kinds of nutritional requirements that fit baby boomers most. And then I guess I would just sort of round out the list by saying that travel companies are also very focused on baby boomers. And this sort of gets into the gray area of how baby boomers are changing their expectations about the future. Travel companies anticipating a large group of retirees who are going to want to travel in the old sorts of ways that their parents did, whereas boomers are thinking a lot more about how they can retire in place. They've done kind of the adventure stage of their life. And that sort of gets into a little bit of the research that we have here today, conducted by lifegoesstrong.com, about the kinds of places that baby boomers want to live in retirement.
Right. And Life Goes Strong is what exactly for our...
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a lifestyle website for active baby boomers with tips and information about things that they can do in the years ahead. And of course, one of the key areas of interest for baby boomers are places to live. And so lifegoesstrong.com sponsors some research about what baby boomers are thinking about now as they're looking for places to live. And the results are kind of interesting. Baby boomers are not really looking like the stereotype of old.
Right. We have our own mindset. What was perhaps the most surprising aspect of the research?
Yeah. Well, you think about baby boomers as being this generation kind of focused on novelty and experiences and traveling around and doing kinds of adventurous things. And that has been true of baby boomers, and certainly many baby boomers are going to continue to look for those kinds of things in their lifestyles. But right at the top of the list nowadays are much more practical considerations. Affordability and pocketbook issues, followed by peace of mind and security issues, are much more the criteria that boomers are using to try and figure out where to live than some of these things that you might expect based upon the stereotype of baby boomers from the past.
Like what? What would you expect?
Well, so cost of living and housing are right up there at the top of the list of what's important to baby boomers. And whereas boomers historically have been willing to kind of finance their lifestyles through debt, willing, as we know, certainly to live a little bit beyond their means, baby boomers are now saying, maybe as I think about going forward, I've got to think a little bit differently about that and put a different priority on some of these kinds of financial considerations. I think that's really the most surprising thing about these results, is the extent to which financial considerations now dominate the way in which baby boomers are thinking about their lifestyles.
And the gold watch and everything
Yeah.
that we've seen our parents' generation go through is obviously out the window.
Right.
What age have you found that most boomers believe they'll be able to retire?
Well, when you talk to boomers, they're talking about somewhere between 65 and 70. Varies a little bit by the survey, but just say 67, 68 is the kind of age at which baby boomers now anticipate they'll be able to retire. And in fact, over the last 10 or 12 years, the average age of retirement, as reported by retirees, has gone up, from around 57 or so, a decade or a little more ago, to 61 today. So already baby boomers are beginning to extend their working years a little bit beyond their late 50s and into their early 60s. We always talk about 65 as retirement age, but in point of fact, most people leave the workforce before they get to age 65. I think baby boomers are going to be a generation where a much larger percentage of this cohort is still working after this kind of magic age of 65.
The final question before I let you go, Walker.
Sure.
What businesses do you suppose might be the most appropriate, in as much as we boomers are not retiring?
Yeah.
And some of us have been shown the door. What sorts of opportunities do you think are most applicable to us?
Well, now this is one of these areas where baby boomers are going to have to pioneer new ground. Baby boomers have actually fared pretty well in the job market since the beginning of the financial crisis and the recession and the slow recovery. Relative to other age groups, boomers have done very well in the job market. It's not to say they've done great, but they have done disproportionately better than every other age group. And yet, the boomers who have lost their jobs are having very difficult times finding new jobs. So I think this is an area where it's unclear how baby boomers are going to cope with this. And yet, having said that, while we do see boomers anxious about this, we also see boomers very optimistic about this. So baby boomers are bringing with them a determination to find something new, whatever that might be. And that's part of the opportunity and part of the interest in this generation. We don't really know where they're going, but they are going to have to make a new way forward.
Whether that's working for the man or working entrepreneurially.
Right.
It'll be one of those things. Jay Walker Smith, fascinating. I want to talk with you again, if that's possible.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
I know you're the author of 4 highly regarded books, Ageless being the most recent.
Right.
And you're a big advocate for lifegoesstrong.com.
Yes.
And I wish you a great rest of the day, and
thank you very much.
To speaking with you again.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.